morning, everyone. Welcome to a Monday live stream here at the Jayda InStitches show. Allow me to put on my glasses so we can get started. I'm sure if any of you have been watching the show for any longer than 5 minutes, you'll recognize this sweater. This is my favorite sweater of all time. I wear it all the time because it makes me laugh. It's very comfortable, and there's just something so charming about this rabbit. So, had a couple of thoughts occur to me in the last couple of weeks. I made a bunny applique last Monday on the live stream. A lot of you will recognize that if you were here. And we had made a small bunny applique so that I could put it on my unblanket for April. This little character right here. I really love this little bunny applique. It's simple. There's no face to worry about. It's got the three-dimensional back end, the little tail. And I really love how it turned out. But then, because a lot of you were sort of working ahead and working on your appliques for your big April unblankets, and we're getting them in sort of ahead of schedule, I saw a lot of rabbits. I saw some really big rabbits, and that got me excited. And I thought, gee whiz, I think I'll make this applique in a bigger format. So last Monday, you saw me make the applique, but you saw me make this little fellow. This is the exact same applique pattern. It's just made with a size 6 super bulky weight yarn. Well, then I got thinking about this sweater because I pulled it out and I was wearing it and I thought, you know what? We've made ugly Christmas sweaters here on the channel. What about an ugly Easter sweater? So guess what? That's what we're doing today. And based on the inspiration from my favorite sweater of all time, I went into my closet and found a sweater that I don't wear all that often, but that I like. It's this one right here. You probably even recognize this one. It's older. It's, you know, not a super expensive sweater. It's a nice pink though. And I thought it would be fun to make an Easter bunny sweater. So I am going to be attaching my big applique to this knit sweater, which has got sort of a waffle stitch thing going on. And I'm going to sort of walk you through how I feel the best way to do this is. I'm definitely going for cute as opposed to ugly because I don't really think you can take pink and a big bunny and make it ugly. But because I wasn't sure if I was just going to go with rabbit or not, I quickly quizzed the family members over the weekend and said, quick, bunny and carrots or bunny and eggs? And bunny and eggs won. So my other plan is to add some Easter eggs to this little Easter sweater. And I think if we've got time, I'm going to do a little bit of decorating. So a couple of things to talk about before we get going. Ms. Rabbit, speaking of rabbits, I see you there. Nico has just gifted a membership. Thank you so much, Nico. I've got a special sign that Mr. InStitches made for this. Thank you. Thank you from us and Penny too. And thank you to Nico for gifting a membership. And let's see here. The lucky winner of that was Joanna. Congratulations, Joanna. Welcome back to the family. And Ms. Rabbit, who's been a member for 40 months, says, all I can say is OMG. Yes, that with a membership milestone. Thank you so much. Okay, everybody. Gonna make it's mostly just about stitching today. If we have time, I'll stitch up a couple of these. We do have a tutorial on how to make these little eggs. These are the first 3 rows of our Easter egg applique. That tutorial is linked in the description box, and last Monday's live tutorial on how to make this rabbit is also linked in the description box. The information for making it large or small is in the description box, and links to the shop. So the bunny applique pattern is in our shop. The Easter egg applique pattern is available on our website for free, and the links to those are also in the description box. Look at me being all on top of things today. So here we go. I am going to get started by stitching all of this together. So obviously the main part of this sweater, the focus is going to be the rabbit. So I want the rabbit to be in the middle. This is a sort of a shorter sweater. So when I wear it, it comes to just about my waist. So I want it to kind of sit mostly in the middle, but not too high, not too close to the top. I've got all my little bits of lint here still on this. This is an old sweater. So this is a great sweater to do this to because like I say, I don't wear it very often. If you want to try this and you don't have any sweaters in your closet right now that you want to experiment with, thrift store sweaters are great. They're a great thing to use if you want to sort of, you know, get crafty, but you don't want to accidentally ruin something that you've spent a lot of money on. I spent my entire teenage years living in thrift stores and just pretty much living in thrifted clothing that I messed around with. So I feel confident messing with this sweater, but like I said, it's old. I've got a cup of coffee. I've got a large yarn needle. I've got a pair of scissors here. Where's my big yarn needle? I've got 2 of them going. Here it is. So I need the bigger yarn needle because I'm using a thick yarn, and that's all I need to get started. So let's go. A lovely, lovely. Oh, I got some suggestions here. What do we got? We've got, why not put grass on the bottom, says Josephine. Oh, it's not such a bad idea. You could do a little bit of embroidery of grass, or maybe even a little grass applique. That would look kind of cute too. You wouldn't even have to stitch the whole thing down. I love that. But let's not jump ahead. Let's get this rabbit stitched down first and see where the stream takes us. We've got everybody here with their bright ideas and their Monday inspiration. So I'm going to thread up the tail left on the rabbit, and I'm going to make sure that I am ready to go. So normally I would do the whip stitch where I would work over top of sort of the edge where the stitching is always going in the same direction. I'm wondering if I should maybe just pin this down. I'll grab my other yarn needle. Actually, I've got several yarn needles. I'm going to pin this rabbit down. I'm going to put my hand in the sweater because obviously I don't want to sew through the sweater. And if you're uncertain, if you're worried that you might accidentally sew through both sides of your sweater, then you can put a piece of cardboard or something in between it. I'm probably going to have my hand in there much of the time though. I'm going to grab some of my other yarn needles and let's see here. I've always got a couple packages of these. I'm going to put one here. This is just to keep him from moving. So bigger applique, attaching it to a non-crocheted surface. I definitely want to be a little more careful. So this is a brand new one. I haven't even taken this one out of the package yet. There we go. Right down here. I think 3 ought to keep it from moving. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put the eggs to the side for now. I'm going to worry about them in a minute. Double check that everything is straight up and down. So yes, according to the front of my sweater, this rabbit is up and down. Now, will I do the turn down ear like I did on the unblanket? I don't know. You know what? I'll wait till I get over there and I'll decide at that point. I'm going to take my needle. Now, I've not even tried this, so I'm going to put it right through the fabric and see. Oh yeah, it goes through really easy. So I am going to stick with the whip stitch. So I'm going to go right through the fabric to the inside of the sweater. Unlike when I usually say, just use the top facing loops so that you don't have any stitching showing through. These loops, I'm going to get this right nice and close so you can really see it. This is a knit sweater. It's a machine knit sweater, obviously. And you can see that the loops of the stitches are very, very small. So I don't want to be using the loops of these stitches because this is a thick yarn. This is a big hook. These are tiny, itty bitty little loops. So it actually makes more sense to go all the way through the fabric and back out again because first of all, no one's going to see the inside of the sweater, so it doesn't matter. And secondly, it's just easier. You won't be putting strain on individual loops. You're going to be actually putting sort of the full strain of the stitching on the entire body of the fabric, which is better in this case. Hello, Masha. Good morning, my dear. With a super chat. Thank you so much. Masha says, will be so cute. You needed a second bunny sweater. I totally need a second bunny sweater. I may even need a third or fourth or fifth bunny sweater. I have a real love with bunnies. I just think they're so cute and funny. And I think they make really cute little, they have such a, it's so easy to create a bunny image. They have such a, unique is a right word, but I want a better word. It's just like such a recognizable silhouette. That's what I wanted. Yes. So I've come through the blanket. I'm going to make sure now I'm doing all this. This is why it's good to have the little stitch markers or the needles in place to keep it from moving around, because I'm going to be moving around quite a bit underneath this sweater. So what I want to do is make sure that my needle is properly positioned and I'm going to come right through the sweater I'm going to come out through the very next stitch. Now, when you first are getting started, it's really important that you are slow and steady as you make your stitches. Pause every single time to make sure you're not moving anything out of alignment. The rabbit hasn't moved. You've not bunched up the fabric. You want to be really, really steady for the first few stitches until it kind of gets anchored, and then you can move a little quicker. Quinnell, hello. Pardon me sipping my coffee. Penelope said she likes the color of the bunny with the pink. I like this too. I really like, this is, oh, what is the color? This is a Hometown by Lion Brand. I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's a lovely kind of beigey white. I really like it. So I'm going to go right off the edge on, I'm going to kind of angle my needle directly underneath where that stitch is, because I don't want you to see the stitch so much going into the fabric. So I'm going to put the stitch underneath the edge of the applique. And I'm going to be really slow for the first little bit here, making sure that this rabbit applique doesn't get moved, because sometimes you grab an ear. And I'm going to just keep patting it back into place and making sure that everything hasn't moved and nothing's bunching up. All right, so needle goes back underneath. I'm also being very careful to make sure that I'm not accidentally stitching through to the other side. And I just poke my needle out in the next stitch. There's something so therapeutic, I feel, about pulling thread or pulling yarn to its limit when you're sewing. Just the sound of it going through the fabric, I just love it. And then I'm going to go right over the edge again, underneath the edge of the applique, because I want that stitch to be largely invisible. There we go. So that's the first 3 stitches. I think we're still in good shape here. Nothing seems to be moving around. All right, let's go to the next stitch. I'm trying to make sure that I don't buckle the fabric. There we go. All right. Welcome everybody. If you're just joining us, I'm making an ugly Easter sweater, but it probably won't be that ugly. It'll likely be more cute, but definitely very Eastery. I'm going to start with this rabbit applique. The link to that tutorial and the pattern are in the description box down below. So if you want to check out last week's live stream where we made this little guy, this is a good use of a giant rabbit. Rosie, I'm sorry to hear about your dad. That really stinks. I hope he's resting in peace. It's never a good time to lose somebody. And welcome Sparkle. Hello. All right, still after a few stitches, I'm making sure that nothing's buckling or rippling. I may be able to take out this middle one now. I think I'm going to do that. So I'm taking out the middle pin. I'm going to call my yarn needles pins for now. And still flattening it out, making sure that nothing's buckling. I'm not stitching through to the other side by accident. And under the edge and back down through the fabric. Here we go. Becky thinks she wants the ears loose and floppy. I kind of like that, the way I did it with the unblanket, where I have the one down, so the whole thing's stitched down except for the one little kind of bit of floppage. Can we use that? Is that a word? Floppage? I like this. I don't know. I'm trying to decide. You know, like I said, I'll get around up to the ears and I'll make a decision when I get up there. That's part of the fun of doing these things slowly, because as you're doing them, your brain kind of has a chance to catch up with the whole project and says, well, you know, this might look cute, or you may encounter what they call happy accidents as you work. You never know. So I'm also feeling it underneath here to make sure that there's no like rippling or bunching of the fabric. This is why I'm sort of really pausing with every single stitch to make sure that I'm taking my time. I'm going to go back under the edge of that stitch. Yeah, Caroline, I think I'm going to use the word floppage. I think this is now an official word, floppage. I feel like it has a lot of applications. All right, so I want to make sure I'm not sewing too tightly either, but I do like how this is making the edge kind of turn in. It's looking a little bit more, as opposed to flared out, it's almost making it a little rounded. So I kind of like that. So I'm going to go carefully through the next stitch. And I'm about, I guess to about here would be maybe 1/4 of the rabbit. So I'm getting there, about 1/8 of the way around. It's a nice, it's because we use the large yarn, it's actually not a very big applique. There's not a whole lot of work to it. So, you know, you can whip one up relatively quickly. It's big, thick stitches make it look a lot bigger than it really is. It's actually not that big of an applique. So I should say it's not that long of a process to make one. This guy, what did I say this was? About 6.5 inches? How tall is this? No, 10 inches from the top of his ears to the bottom of his tail. The other one I think is about 6 inches. Look at me, 6 inches. That's clearly not 6 inches, Jayda. Head in the clouds. All right, still patting it down. I feel like I'm getting quicker now. I feel like I can speed up a little bit because it doesn't seem to want, that's another lovely thing about sewing a fabric. So this is an acrylic sweater. This is acrylic yarn. This applique is heavy and large, and it doesn't want to slide around because it's not a slippery yarn. This isn't slippery fabric. So once you kind of put something in place and pin it down, it isn't going to want to move a whole lot because it's the weight of it and the non-slipperiness of it just kind of keeps it in place. So I'm able to move a little quicker than I kind of anticipated, which is great. This is I think putting on the little eggs, if I manage to get to some of the eggs, I'm not sure where I would put them, but we're going to decide. Doing that will be it'll be a slightly different process because they're much smaller. Not to mention that they're not the main focal point. So the rabbit is the focal point of the sweater. So the rabbit really needs to be centered, even, not stretching out the fabric at all. It needs to be kind of, you know, exactly where I want it to be, and I have to be a lot more careful sewing it down than I do maybe some of the little side bits that I may or may not put down. I really love just the look of the rabbit on the sweater and nothing else. It's got kind of a nice simplicity to it, but if it's going to be an ugly Easter sweater, it probably needs a few more things. So I'm running my hand underneath the stitching. This is what it looks like on the inside. So I'll just give you guys a look. I'm trying not to pull too tightly. This is what it looks like on the inside. So that's pretty neat. Obviously, no one's going to see the inside of my sweater, but this also isn't going to irritate me, and it's not going to catch on buttons or anything if I'm wearing a shirt or a blouse underneath with buttons. So that's pretty good. Again, want to make sure that I'm not stretching the sweater. I think I'll take this out now. So I'm taking out the bottom pin. So I'm pretty sure this isn't going to move now on me. And let's keep on going. Dawn's wondering how the stitches look so neat. You know what it is, Dawn? It's not me. It's because of the even distribution of the crochet stitches. So when you crochet, because you're making the same stitch over and over and over again, it looks a bit machine-like because you are dealing with usually an even thickness of yarn and the size of your hook never changes. Joanne, thank you so much for picking up a couple of patterns at the shop. Thank you, thank you. You don't, because you're using an even thread weight and an even sized hook, and your tension usually irons itself out while you're working, you get even stitching. And that even stitching looks machine made, and that's why when you actually go through sewing it later on, your stitches are going to be evenly spaced because you're using every stitch exactly where the stitch lands. So you created the evenness of the sewing before you even started sewing. Does that make sense? Am I like way out there today? I feel like I might be way out there today. So Joe, I'm reading the chat here. Joanne's is finally closed, is it? I never got to a Joanne's in my entire life. So sad. I wonder if anything will come along to fill that crafty gap. Okay, so this feels like I'm not stretching. I'm really trying not to stretch the fabric underneath the rabbit too, which is a little trickier than I thought it would be. I didn't figure it would want to move too much. That waffle stitch though is a bit stretchy, so I'm trying to be as careful as I can as I work my way around. Oh, some of them are still open. Well, that's so confusing. Yes, Joanna, we need another crafty store in Canada. We need another crafty department style chain store that will compete against Michael's, because Michael's is technically the only real big one. Like I think you might in some different parts of Canada, like in Ontario, we've got a few Lens Mills outlets, but I don't think there's places like that or chains like that anywhere else. If anybody else in Canada who might be in the chat, do you guys have any craft chain stores? I won't include Fabricland in that because Fabricland is really just fabric. I know every once in a while they kind of flirt with a bit of yarn, but they don't really carry yarn. Am I twisting a little bit? Maybe just a smidgen? Just a little bit. That's okay. Quinnell's asking if there's a video for the sweater. This is not a crocheted sweater. It's not even hand knit. This is a machine knit, store-bought, sort of cheerful junk sweater that I got years ago. And that's why I am stitching a rabbit to it. Because it has definitely this sweater doesn't owe me anything. So if this sweater ends up looking a bit funny, or it doesn't, I only can wear it sort of in spring or Easter, then not that I would really care. You could probably see me wearing this at Christmas. I'm just because I'm that kind of a person. No, this is not. This sweater is just whatever. I had this pink sweater in my cabinet. I've had it for years. I don't wear it as much as I used to. So I thought this was the perfect time to give it a little bit of an overhaul, a remodel. I have to admit the whole, see, because we only have Michael's here in Canada, I don't really have another craft store to compare it to. So in terms of buying yarn, it's currently one of, if not the only really good option for buying yarn. But I have to say, I've noticed in the last few years that they've gone from carrying a lot of the brands that I like to mostly they have a sampling of Lion brand yarns now, which bothers me because I really like being able to, first of all, I prefer to buy Lion brand when I can, and I secondly love to be able to pick it up and look at it in person. I'm not a buy over the internet person unless I'm restocking. So if it's something I'm already familiar with, I'll happily buy it over the internet. But if I'm new to it, I want to like see it. They also have a sampling of like Karen and Bernat and a little itty bitty bit of Red Heart, but more and more they're carrying their own brand of loops and threads, and they're kind of mimicking all of the popular yarns from the other brands in their own brand, which I'm fine with, but I'd rather they were carrying it as well as opposed to just largely replacing it. And that's what I'm noticing, which I'm not too pleased about. I like, I like choice, and it's such a precious thing to have choice, and again, the choice is sort of disappearing, so I'm kind of bummed about that. On the plus side, Loops and Threads is typically decent yarn, so I have bought it before. But when you're looking to restock or replace a color, like, I'm sort of specifically looking for, let's say I want, I think Bernat Premium is largely just carried at Walmart. That's typically where I find it here in Canada. So if I'm looking to restock Walmart, the Bernat Premium, I have to go to Walmart. But if it's anything else, then, I kind of would hope to be able to restock at my local craft store, and it's not there now when I go. So there's something similar, like there's a Loops and Thread version that's similar, but it's maybe not the same color. So that's a bit frustrating. I find myself ordering from Lens Mills online a lot more. And speaking of which, if you're in Canada, Lens Mills will ship anywhere in Canada. And if you order over $50 worth of yarn, they'll ship free. So if you're ordering Lens Mills in Canada, now I'm pretty sure Lens Mills ships cross-border, but there's always an import tax, whether you're going one way or the other. And now there's probably tariffs on top of that, because I think everybody's very confused about when to charge tariffs and how much and whatnot. So it might be even more expensive right now. So if you're in the States, I wouldn't bother trying to order from Lens Mills. Likewise, Canada, if you're in Canada, I wouldn't bother trying to order from anything in the US right now until all of this sort of subsides. And the usual import fees are all there. All right. Yeah, it's not, so I'm going to flip this inside out for a second. It's definitely flat. So I haven't managed to bunch anything. This is nice and flat and even. The applique itself is kind of heavy, so it might want to pull or stretch a little bit on the fabric anyway. So I think to counter that, I might stitch in some eggs in, what's the word I'm looking for? In like, strategic places, because that might actually help pull up some of the stitches, but we'll see when I get there. So I'm definitely about halfway around now. So I'm going to leave this in the head because the head still might want to move a little bit, but I think I'm making pretty good time here. Sipping my coffee here. Premier yarn, I love Premier yarn. I don't typically see it in person. I think that's one that I'd have to order on the internet. And our dollar stores where we have them they carry yarn, but it's not a lot and not the good stuff. It's like the super ridiculously garbage acrylic from China. So I don't typically buy a lot of yarn at the dollar store. Sometimes you find the odd liquidation store, like a store that liquidates stuff where they've liquidated, like they've managed to get a hold of somebody's some stores going out of business yarn, and maybe you'll find like some deals there, but that's hit and miss too. I don't want to get too excited. I'm trying to make sure that I see when I get more than halfway around, I know the thing isn't moving. I tend to want to speed up, and I'm really fighting the urge to do that because I don't want to make an error and start stretching it out. Marie's working on the Easter capelet. Lovely. I love mine. I absolutely adore it. It's just the perfect little amount of warmth around the shoulders right now. I love capelets and I love shawls. I love ponchos. I love big, swinging, cozy. It's like wearing a pretty blanket. Just don't tell anybody that. Oh, what a lovely capelet. Why, thank you. Yes, I, put a blanket over my shoulders. Okay. Do a little pause and a reposition. Make sure nothing is stretching. Good, good, good. Good, good, good. Yep. Okay. Is Ollie's a liquidation store in the States? Because, wow, if the liquidation stores are getting a hold of Joanne's yarn, that would be pretty great. If you've got a local Ollie's, you want to check that out. Liquidation stores are kind of fun. They're like a step up from a thrift store. Okay. Yep. Still nice and smooth. Good, good, good. I'm trying very hard not to pull too tightly. I don't want my stitches to be tight. I don't want them to be loose. I want my sewing stitches to kind of mirror the tension of my crochet, which is not too tight and not too loose, because if it's too tight, it'll pull on the sweater, it'll pull on the applique. If it's too loose, it'll also pull on the sweater and pull on the applique because there's too much room for movement. So I'm trying to just mirror the tension of my actual crochet. Nico, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Nico. Sign comes back for Nico. Thank you, Nico. Oh, I should have given this to Masha too. Masha and Nico, thank you both. And Joanne, thank you, thank you. Oh, speaking of signs, we do have a sneaky sale in the shop today. The bunny applique, if you haven't picked it up already, it's on sneaky sale today in our Etsy shop. Link in description. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the reminder, Nico. Congratulations, Krista! Krista's back in the family. Welcome back home, Krista. Okay. Yep, still feels nice and flat under here. Okay. Now I'm going to start, so that's the whole body of the rabbit done now. So I think I'm going to take this last pin out so that I can kind of move it a little bit if I want to. I mean, it's still laying pretty flat. I know you might be seeing it kind of crooked on the camera depending on how I move the sweater, but for reference, here's the neck edge. And again, cheap sweater, so it's probably not going to be super even anyway, but there's the rabbit's sort of head in relation. So I think that's pretty even. It looks very dreamy, doesn't it? This extra thick, soft, slightly shimmery acrylic yarn looks in this off-white looks kind of dreamy with the pink sweater, I feel. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start now. I'm going to put one little tiny stitch in the corner of where the head meets the body. And then, so right there. Flopsy, Mopsy, or Cottontail. Good idea. We haven't named this rabbit. Flopsy, Mopsy, or Cottontail. Aww. I mean, can we say acrylic tail? Actually, this might be wool. That might be a wool. No, I think that's acrylic. Cottontail sounds much cuter than acrylic tail. All right, let's slip a hook in through here, a little needle. So now I'm looking at stitches that are in reverse. So I should say the whole body is made always going in the same direction. To make the head, we turn and we make the head. So now the tops of the stitches are just faced inward a little bit. So now I have to kind of just be a little extra careful as I work my way around the head to make sure that I'm getting the stitch. Yeah. And I keep putting my hand under it. I keep feeling the fabric to make sure that it's smoothed out and I'm not pinching it anywhere. One little stitch at a time. Yes, I concur with Caroline. If you're here, if you're subscribed, you are part of the family. This is definitely a sweet and crafty community. It is supportive and loving, and the inspiration never stops. So if you're here, welcome, welcome. Being a subscriber is a big help. I mean, obviously, we absolutely love it when you become a member because it helps us stay here on the internet. It keeps us going. It's a tremendous help, and we really love it. But if you are subscribed, that helps a lot too. If you like our tutorials, if you share them, it goes a long way to instilling in that algorithm, that annoying algorithm, that we exist and other people might find us interesting too. So if you can help by sharing, subscribing, liking the content, we really appreciate it. Okay, I think now okay, ears. Let's talk ear communication. This is I'm listening. This is I'm half listening. This is I'm chilling in the backyard, but it doesn't say rabbit. This is like blowing in the breeze. This is a bit stunned. Should I make them straight up? Should I make them a little bit crooked? Should I make one sideways? What do you guys think? Little bunny foo-foo. Hopping through the forest. I don't know if this bunny is the sort to bop Field Mice on the head. I don't think this bunny would bop anybody on the head. I think this bunny is just content to sort of sniff daffodils and hide Easter eggs. One flopped. The alert bunny. I like the alert bunny too, Nico. I think the whole it really this says rabbit, I think, when you see those two tall ears. I do like this. I think it's really cute. But I really like this. I like the mirror image simplicity of that as well. Well, I'm going to work my way up this one. And when we get around to the other one, we'll see what's happening. So, am I at a point where I can be a little more free and easy with my stitches? Dare I? Dare I? I don't know. I feel like it wants to lean a little bit to one side, so I'm constantly kind of trying to sort of change its trajectory a little bit. Okay, so here we go. So, can I this is what I mean by sort of cheating a little bit. So I go put my needle in, but then I bring it out immediately to kind of get the next stitch. That's a little too close here. Let's see if I can do that. So this is basically doing the stitch all in one go as opposed to going in and then out. Now the trouble with that is that it's going to require me to pull it a little tighter. And I'm kind of messing with my, see, that's me wanting to stitch ahead, get faster. So I think, you know what, I'm not gonna risk it. I want this to look as even as possible, so I'm gonna just continue doing what I'm doing. I kind of like the one sort of folded over in half too. Mr. InStitches is definitely still part of the lives. It's just that we have a puppy. So if you're new here and you don't know that we've recently welcomed a very active, not just any puppy, a miniature dachshund who is just so needy, it's unbelievable. Welcomed this little puppy into our home and our lives, and she has just, she's the most demanding thing. I've met baby humans that are less demanding than this dog. And she just won't let us do anything at all anymore. So in order to keep live streaming or doing any kind of work from home at all, one of us has to always kind of be with her, because she just freaks out. It's been months and she just still isn't like, she hasn't figured out that we're not going to abandon her. I don't know. But apparently this is typical to the breed. They're super, 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 super needy. It's cute, but it's a little annoying. Anyway, that's why he's around. He's around. He just has to kind of, he has to deal with her. Yes, exactly, Nico. That's why nature made them so cute. That goes for human babies too. You want to throttle them 1 second and then you're like, oh my gosh, you're so cute. You're my whole universe, like the next. So yeah. Baby anything, really. I mean, I can't think of too many baby anythings that aren't absolutely adorable. Okay, so maybe I'll try a quick stitch from up here. Come out through the neck since I'm a little closer to the neck. Still smoothing it down, still making sure that I'm not bunching it up. Yeah, I think despite my best efforts, she's still kind of twisted to one side, but I don't care. It is tricky to, so I'm going to bring this through here, and then I'm going to get this top little, don't want a knot. That is definitely not something I want. Okay, so that's the ear. I'm going to try and make it as pointed up top as I possibly can. You do that by grabbing the topmost stitch and going right back down underneath where you want it to kind of keep it in place before you move on and do another stitch. So now that ear is straight up and down, as straight as it's going to be, since my rabbit seems to be tilting in one direction. I might be able to slightly correct that, but you know what? Maybe I'll lean into it, wahaha, and make it look like, yeah, I might go with the tilted ear because it'll actually balance this leaning rabbit. All right, so now I'm going to work my way down the other side of the ear. And I think I'm going to continue. So here we go. I'm going to continue to work from the bottom because that's actually easier to get both my arms in here. There we go. And I also am trying not to like accidentally run my needle through my sewing yarn at the back, which feels like I'm doing. So I'm going to reposition here. Okay. Because this is a smaller piece, I'm trying to be as careful as I can to kind of make sure that I don't accidentally mess it up. I wonder if I can, again, I want to try and stitch ahead because I'm going to hold that. That's okay. I think if I'm careful, I might be able to do that all the way down the rest of the ear. So I'm still going through the sweater, but I'm trying to sort of do one whole stitch at a time. Yeah, still flat. Sometimes the art of putting on an applique is less about, you know, stitching a really nice applique or picking the right colors. It's like just taking your time to sew it down properly. Okay, yes, this rabbit is definitely leaning to one side, almost like she's got a little gas. Little bathroom humor there. Bunny bathroom humor. But I kind of like the one ear down, one ear up. All right, guys, what am I doing? One ear down or one ear up? She's a Putin bunny. Isn't that, I once heard that from somebody. Isn't that a little euphemism for tooting, is shooting rabbits? Does anybody else know that one? I heard that once said from somebody and I thought it was the cutest thing. I don't understand the correlation, but I did think it was awfully cute. Flopsy, down, down, down. One says up, fold, down, 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 flopsy, down, down. Okay, down it is, my darlings. That looks like a pretty universally decided upon thing. So let's get across the top of the head. I'm going to do one little stitch inside the ear here. I might actually pull that through the inside. And we'll come right back out inside the ear. Yeah, we've been saying all sorts of nasty things about you, Jessica Rabbit. Okay. Let me just make sure I'm not squeezing this at a bad angle again. It's funny, I thought I would be speeding up as I got around the top. Looks like the opposite is happening. Okay, all right. Quick check, nice and flat, good. All right, I think I can do that little quick stitching across the top where I dip my needle in and back out. There we go. And flatten. Okay, so I'm gonna do the folded ear because that really is cute. I like this, but because it's leaning, I think it makes a little bit more sense now to have sort of one ear kind of coming down. Again, like I said, as you work on these things, sometimes the original plan doesn't go exactly the way you saw it in your head. That's okay. Lean into it. Accept the organic change. It's the best way to do it rather than beat yourself up. I'm going to do what I did with the unblanket rabbit, where I just stitch across the back end. So I'm going to stitch by grabbing the underside of the folded ear And I want to make sure that that ear looks really cute. So I'm not going to stitch the ear down. I'm going to stitch underneath it, and then I'm going to come back down around here so that the ear can flop. And so I'm going to do one more stitch underneath the ear. Not too tight, not too loose. Okay, now I'm going to get it up and out of the way. And I'm on the home stretch, I'm on the home stretch. So I'm going to continue now going in and out, in and out, in and out, and then I'll be able to just let this kind of flop and it'll flop naturally. All right. Okay, I am on the home stretch. I'm just going to stitch down the side of the face now. I'm going to do this I'm going to do this the other way because I'm going into a tiny little corner. There we go. I am happy to say that I did not manage to ripple or crease the fabric while I was stitching. The rabbit tilted a little bit, but honestly, I don't think that's a bad thing now that his one ear is flopped down. That kind of almost evens it out a little bit. I think taking my time doing all the stitching and making sure my hand is always on the inside of the fabric was a smart move so that I didn't accidentally stitch both sides of the sweater together. And now I'm all the way back to where I started. I am going to knot this on the inside of the sweater so that there is no knots showing on the outside. So let's flip it inside out. And nice and neat and tidy on the inside. I'm going to knot it underneath a stitch here. So I'm going to use the same yarn so that I don't put any additional strain on the sweater fabric. And I'm going to do it twice. And I'm going to weave my tail in and out underneath a few of these stitches back here. And then back again. And that will kind of help keep it from wanting to undo. Now again, this is on the inside of the sweater. I don't want it to be super bulky because I have to wear it. But I'm grabbing the odd tiny itty bitty little loop of the inside edge of the fabric of the sweater. So that will definitely help keep this tail from wanting to unravel on me. There we go. I think that's enough. And I'll just put this to the side. Okay, we've got it. We've got a rabbit attached to an old sweater. That makes this sweater better. Oh my gosh, cute, cute, cute. Okay. If you've got to shake your tail feathers or shake your bunny butt and take off, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I think I'm going to go a little later than normal and stitch in some eggs. So, what do you guys think? Should I add the Easter eggs? Or should I just stick with the rabbit? What do you guys think? I've got these lovely 4 eggs. I could have a couple here, a couple there. Better sweater. Yeah, Nico, I agree. She doesn't look that lopsided anymore. It's almost like she's kind of tilting her head to one side with the ear up because the tail is still kind of more or less center. So that worked out better. Add the eggs. So I'm seeing, I do like the eggs. The eggs kind of make it like a little, maybe I should switch out the pink. Yellow and blue does look nice together. Orange and pink looks like candy. Just the rabbit from Rosie. See, if you just go with the rabbit, I have to agree with Rosie. If you just go with the rabbit, it's now a rabbit sweater, which you can technically get away with wearing a lot more than just at Easter. If you add the Easter eggs, you've made like an ugly Easter sweater, which kind of makes it more like a timely thing to wear. Like you're, you know, popping out to the mall and you've got to put on a cute little sweater or something. So I'm just tack the eggs so they can be removed. So Simple Life, very smart. Could you make the Easter eggs as big coasters? I think we could, Mama. I think maybe we should do something like that. I like Simple Life's idea. See, I could also make them little pins, and then if they're little pins, you can pin them on anywhere you want. Okay, so let's try that. Let's see what that looks like. I've got safety pins or something somewhere around here. Let's see here. Yeah, here they are. Nothing like a little experimentation. All right, so safety pins are a crafter's best friend. I'll take one of the, that's too small. Maybe that one's good. All right. So, for example, I'm loving this orange. So let's look at this orange for a minute. So rather than use it as an applique, let me get my little needle out here. I'm going to take that tail, run it down underneath to the middle back of the egg, about the middle of the, what I would consider the spine of the applique, sort of that line that runs down the middle. And open it up so I'm not stitching the wrong side. I'm going to stitch around and around and around and around and around, attaching this little safety pin. So I'm using the back loops of the back of the egg. Now the egg will want to curl a little bit, so might be helpful if you're going to do this to run a row of slip stitching around the edge, because that always makes things like a little stiffer. But you could also just block it. So there we go. So that's pretty much attached. Make a little knot. So definitely some votes for just pinning the eggs on. I like the idea of just pinning the eggs on because it does make the eggs also useful for other things. Like you could just pin the eggs to other stuff if you want. Or if you're like, yeah, okay, now I want the egg for something else, you can take the pin off down the road and use it for something else. So I'm going to snip that. That can go in here. So you could block this and it'll stay the size that you want it to. And now, because it's a pin, let me just pin it in place. This might be the answer to the Easter sweater. Is that too close? I want to make sure I don't squish too much of the sweater. There we go. One pinned egg. Not bad. Not bad at all. Yeah, the holiday's over. You can remove the egg, says Kim. Pins are a great idea, Penelope. Yep, okay, so Simple Life. Loving it. This is good. This is good. All right, all right. Or surface stitch, says Penelope. You know what? I'm thinking, yes, you can surface. I think we're going to do the pins. I think we're going to pin the eggs into place. Because then you could also shuffle around sort of where you have them. You know, maybe you like have like a little Easter pasta and you splash yourself with a bit of pasta sauce, you can sort of like cover that for the duration of the party. I like it. I think maybe the pins are the way to go. It certainly is a nice temporary option. I'm going to put another one on here. So I'll get at least 2 on. I think this is a great idea. See how awesome you guys all are? This is why this community is so fantastic. It's like a temporary Easter sweater, and then once it's not an Easter sweater anymore, it just goes back to being a nice spring sweater or just generally a cute rabbit sweater, which is what I love. I love the rabbit. I mean, I wear my other Easter, not an Easter sweater, I wear my other bunny sweater all the time. Nico. Goodness gracious, where's my sign? Where's my sign? Thank you, Nico. Thank you so much for gifting a membership. Congratulations to Sparkle and Shimmer with Tammy. Tammy has been gifted a membership. Tammy, welcome to the family. That was lucky. How awesome is that? Thank you, Nico. Congratulations, Tammy. I think while I'm just stitching in this egg, I want to remind everybody that the egg pattern I'm using, it's a tutorial we've got, link in the description. There's also a pattern for this for free on our website on the pattern workshop page. So if you want to grab it, there's 2 different sizes of egg included in that. This is the smaller version, so it's rows 1 to 3 as opposed to all 4 rows, which makes a slightly larger egg. So if you don't have that pattern and you're collecting patterns, that's a free one over on our website. Please help yourself to our free patterns. They are there as a thank you to all of you for helping make this channel what it is. And if you want to pick up the bunny applique, so we've got a written pattern for this, it's in our Etsy shop. Great way to help support the show as well. Please and thank you if you pick up a pattern. And that is on sneaky sale today. Mr. InStitches made me a sign for that as well. That's our sneaky sale, our little bunny. A lot of you picked it up last week. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is a great way to use that applique. It doesn't just have to go on a blanket. Remember your sweaters. If you've got sweaters or even t-shirts, clothing in your sort of wardrobe that you want to refresh, especially when the spring comes along. I'm also thinking about sizing this little guy down using thread. Maybe we'll do an emergency live stream this week and I will make a miniature version of this because I'm thinking it would be so cute stitched onto the lapel or the side of my jeans. I have a lot of denim in my wardrobe and I just think a little rabbit lapel patch might look so cute. So the ideas are flowing. So I'm just going to finish off this one last little egg here and pin it into place. I think I like the 2 eggs. And I love that they're removable. I think that's a great idea. Removable egg pins. And then you can put them somewhere else if you want. So I'm just going to weave that little tail in just a smidgen. Just a smidgen. Keep it from wanting to unstitch itself. There we go. Another little scrap for the scrap heap. There you go. Get these guys out of the way. All right, so that is the pin. Let's pin it into place. Okay, so just grabbing a little bit more than necessary. Oh my gosh, yeah, yep. 1 egg, 2 eggs. It's a bunny sweater. And for a short period of time every year, it's an Easter sweater. And not too ugly. I think this was a super success. I might do the other 2 eggs and put them on pins as well, because why not? But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try it on. I want to make sure that this whole image isn't too wide, because I don't want necessarily the eggs kind of curling around my middle. I think I like the idea of kind of consolidating all of the imagery to the center of the sweater. I'm going to take a picture with me in it. Gonna post that in the posts section a little later today so you guys can see what it looks like. And a gigantic thank you to all of you for joining us today. This was a success. I now have an Easter sweater and a great way to give a bit of a facelift to an old pink sweater in my collection. This was going to get recycled at some point anyway, so now I'm going to get a few more years of life out of it. It looks cute again. Oh my gosh, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for joining. We will see you soon here Definitely Friday, possibly before. Might have to do an emergency live stream. I don't know. I got the ideas are flowing now. If you missed Friday's video, our April unblanket is alive and well. I've got a whole Easter party scene happening here. You guys have been sending in your April unblankets to the Etsy shop for the photos. I love it. Keep them coming. We're going to do, I think I'm going to do a little roundup of some of them today. Usually we do them the week leading up to the next one, but there's so many. I want to share some right off the bat. So if you're looking for more inspiration for your April unblanket, wow, did our community come through this year. There are so many great ideas. So I'm going to share some of those this afternoon. I'm going to show you a picture of me in this later on this afternoon. So if you are going to decorate a sweater, for heaven's sakes, send us a photograph of that too at the Etsy shop. Links in the description box. Link to the Etsy shop and the workshop, the web page of ours are always in the description box. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for liking and subscribing and sharing. Thank you to our family members for joining and helping curate such a fabulous and moderated community. You guys are so creative and loving. I love it. And thank you everybody who's popped in and bought a pattern in the last little while. We really appreciate your support. We will see you soon. Keep an eye on the post tab for more information, including any info on an upcoming possibly emergency live stream. And we'll see you soon. Take care. Stay safe and crafty. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.